So suppose there is a robot and robot is gone down and I am gone down. Is there any difference? And if you think that there is no difference, then probably you are not the person that should read Bhagavad Gita. But if you really honestly see, no. Robot can be gone down, but I cannot be gone down. That means you make a distinction between a human being, a living being, and a machine. So just like nobody mourned for the space shuttle, but they mourned for the 7 astronauts, that shows that although we say something, but internally we feel something else. We don't mourn for the annihilation of the machine, but we mourn for our fellow beings. And that is where is the hypocrisy. That means we do something, but we speak something else. So although we make a distinction between us and the machine, how sophisticated may be the machine, but then we talk, oh, we are no different than the machine. Maybe we are a little sophisticated machine. But if you read Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita would make you compel. Bhagavad Gita would compel you on this very question. Are you a machine or are you different than a machine? Certainly. And for example, death. Why do we mourn for the dead? When your car is burnt, you don't mourn for the car. You mourn for your individual loss. That means you mourn for your own self. You don't mourn for the car. You don't feel that you are missing your car. No. All that you can say, oh, you lost so much of money. And so it's your personal loss. It's not that you are mourning for the car. But when somebody's dead, you miss him. Like we have the Alexander, who was on a spree to conquer the world, but at the very early age, 32, he died. And people ask, why did he die so early? When somebody dies at the age of 80, 90, 100, nobody says, but somebody dies very young, you say, why did he die so young? Why God is so cruel? Okay. And in Bhagavad Gita, you can see this picture. It says there is no death. Death is an illusion. There is a continuous migration. And that migration is happening continuously. That means when I was in the womb, I was still there. And when I came out of the womb, I am still different. I'm different than the embryo, because now I can cry, I can suck the breast milk, and so forth. And that body also has disappeared. I have also passed through my Kaumara, the 5-year-old boy's innocence, and then youth, that also I have passed. Now I have entered my old age. I'm above 50. So the body has changed, but I am the same person. It's like you have changed, your body have changed, but you don't say I'm a different person. A different person got certificate in matriculation, another person got certificate in intermediate, and another person got a certificate in graduation, and another person got certificate as a PhD. And now you are the same person who claimed to all those certificates. The body has changed. In fact, in medical science, it says after every 7 years, the body changes completely. So that is, soul is transmigrating in this very body from one body to another body. Similarly, when this body becomes old and invalid, the consciousness that is indestructible is carried by the subtle body to another body, new body. So you again start fresh. And like that, this cycle of conscious evolution is going on. And this conscious evolution is not always up and no. There is up and down, up and down. Sometimes you get the human birth, then you get the animal birth, sometimes you get insect birth, plant birth, depending on your consciousness. And this consciousness is generated based on your interaction with the three modes of material nature. Like suppose you are associating with a drunkard, you will be associating in mode of ignorance. You are associating with the meat eaters, you will be associating in mode of ignorance. You are associating with those who are ruthless, ambitious, and would violate any rule to go to the top. Then you are associating the mode of passion. And then there are people who read Bhagavad Gita, they want to contemplate on the nature of the truth. Who are they? What is existing? What is consciousness? And what are the basic building block of the universe? Similar thought process when they process, then you are associated with the mode of goodness. And accordingly, different desires, they arise within you. So our environment certainly make a very profound impact how we behave. So now let us see a machine and living organism, because the scientists, they say that we are actually a machine. But have you ever contemplated on this? Living organism and a machine. A living organism experience, all living organisms, from plant to aquatics to birds to beasts to insect to reptiles to human being, everybody, they experience hunger, fear, sleep, sexual desires, and they experience, they have the ability to self-replicate. A tree self-replicates through seed, birds self-replicate through the egg, and so forth. So everyone have the capacity to self-replicate. And all organisms, for surviving, there's certain creativity. If you don't have creativity, you will not survive. Bees know how to make beehive to survive. Tigers know how to survive by killing the deers, and human being, each grade of human being, they know how to survive in different situations, and everybody demonstrates some kind of creativity. Whereas machines, we are talking about AI machines, and they have no such property. The AI machines, they can't reproduce, they don't have sex desire, they don't sleep, they don't have fear, they have no hunger. Do you feel that they have all these things? No. Either they can self-replicate. You don't see a 92 model Mercedes-Benz car can give rise to or give birth to 2001 Mercedes-Benz car. No. Each model is a new, fresh, designed by some engineers. So one machine doesn't give birth to another machine. Neither there is creativity. A machine, when it is in a very difficult, odd situation, it doesn't, change itself or adapt itself and be creative. You don't see that. So, did you ever contemplate if the living matter is different from inert matter? Like this table. This table, if you hit, there is no response, but you hit here, there is a response. Okay. So, but according to science, this matter that is inert and this is a living matter, there is no distinction. But Bhagavad Gita says there is distinction. Bhagavad Gita says three categories. One is inert matter, like chair, table, laptop, electronic gadgets, house. These are all inert matter, right? And then you have different bodies, plant body, aquatic body, varieties of bodies, human body. These are living body. But according to Bhagavad Gita, this living body has its own cognitive perceptual space. And that perceptual space is aware of itself. It has its own experience. That is the distinction between a living body and inert matter. Although both are matter, according to Bhagavad Gita, including mind, intelligence, and false ego, everything is matter. But this matter is different than the matter, the inert matter or gross matter that we talk about. And then beyond this two level of matter, there is a pure consciousness. That is a third level of thing. So here is again those who still doubt, because doubting Thomas has no limit. They can go on asking questions. So now, if still you think a machine, we are a machine, then first make a machine to get or to receive Nobel Prize. That means you bring a robot to your house, make him learn your own language. It learns the vocabulary, picks up your language, speaks broken language, broken vocabulary, broken words, and then becomes perfect, starts writing poetry, becomes expert, and finally receives a Nobel Prize in literature. How he gets a Nobel Prize? Because his writing is able to inspire millions of people, every walk of life. It has certain message, a constructive message for the society. So some criteria must be there by which the Nobel Committee would say, okay, this person, this machine has written a poetry that is worth getting Nobel Prize. Can you do that? So these are the questions that you have to answer. Now, forget about a machine. You won't see that a machine has some reverses of life. But you do have reverses of life. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is that although this body, both gross and subtle, is matter, I don't disagree with the scientists that this is matter, so also the inert matter, they are matter. But I say this is a different kind of matter, and then there are reverses of life. So what are these reverses of life? You see, you break your head when you make a lose, you make a great loss in your business. You feel your world is almost collapsing. And then you have lost your near and dear ones, and you feel that it's impossible to lead your life further. And then you have failed in exam, or a JEE exam or a civil service exam, and you have failed. It appears that life has become absolutely impossible. And then there are a young boy and a young girl, they're married, but life is not going as smooth as they dreamt of, and they're about on the verge of divorce, right? And then you have lost all inspiration to continue your life. You have no motivation, and you want to commit suicide, dissatisfied with life, the way it is moving. These are all reverses of life. What do you do? What will you do to this kind of life, dear friends? Okay. So I will take a little break here, and I'll make my video to speak to you for 2 minutes before I start.
Sir, audio is not coming. Sir, the audio is not reaching. Yes, sir.
can go again.
Let me tell you, whether you are a student or a professor, reverses of life are a must. As a student, I may be working very hard, I may be diligent, I may be attending all the classes, but suddenly I get a fail grade. Isn't it? So how do you handle that situation? I'm doing very well in my business and suddenly I make a huge loss. How do I handle it? Or I'm a young boy and getting married to a young girl. You know, everything is so nice. But within months, our natural match is not there. We start quarreling and suddenly we go to the court for divorce. Reverses of life is the ultimate truth of this world. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to deal with these reverses. This is the only science that is called life science. Anything that happens to me, how do I deal with that? If you have a disease, you can go to a doctor, isn't it? But when you have a disease like reverses of life, no doctor can cure it. So here no medicine would work, no engineering would work. None of my wealth can help me. I need a life science. Okay? And that is why we must read Bhagavad Gita. You must know that Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence of all the Vedic knowledge that are there in the form of Vedas, in the form of Upanishads, Aranyakas, Samhitas, Puranas, you name anything. In this world of busy life, we have an opportunity just to bathe ourselves in 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita and get the lessons of life. Is that not very wonderful? I think you will appreciate. So I welcome you again to join this course for registering. After you get benefit, I would request you, please tell your near and dear ones, your friends, colleagues, let everybody come and join us and learn this science of Bhagavad Gita.
So I took a little pause. Now, somebody is misusing their free will to make some scratches on these videos. I would request all of you to refrain from such thing. So what is consciousness? Like for example, again, somebody is doing that again and again. Who is that person? Some
Sir, you
organizer.
can disable. Sir, since you are sharing the screen, you can disable it, sir.
Yeah.
3 dots are there, sir. So you can go there and sir, you can disable that. You can erase the annotation and disable participant annotation.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So you see, suppose you are I'll just explain to you what is consciousness, because this is so subtle. Many people really don't get it, and I would like you people to hear it very carefully. You see, suppose you are in Jagannath Puri, you are sitting on the sea beach, and you see this beautiful waves and tides and wonderful experience that you have. But how science explains this wave? This wave science would explain in a mechanized way. That is, there is air has a certain velocity, and then air molecules, they come in contact with this water molecule, and because of that, there is exchange of momentum from the air molecule to the water molecule, and hence the water is naturally having some tide. But my dear friend, that is what you don't experience. As a conscious being, you don't experience, you don't see actually the water molecule or the air molecule and so on. What you experience is the beauty. That's why you are there. You know, the vastness of the ocean feels within you a thrill, makes you very humble. The tides, the waves after wave, that gives you a soothing sensation. You feel very happy. So this attribute of your experience of tide is one thing, and then the phenomenon of tide, the way it is happening, is another thing. So while the science is explaining, maybe explaining, I'm not saying that is a complete explanation. I don't even agree that's a complete explanation why tide occurs. It may be some partial truth may be there, but the point is, there are two things. One is the explanation of the phenomenon tide, the other is your experience of the tide. And your experience of the tide or the sea is completely different than the phenomenon itself. And if you deny your consciousness, that means you are denying your very existence. And that is why we say, or I say, science is at crossroad. Unless we define new agenda in the science and we bring in consciousness into science, the science will be dead. In fact, 21st century, everybody must understand what is consciousness. That means everybody must study Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, the science as it is available today has passed its shelf life. You understand, you know, every cell has a life period, right? You know, you get a battery and it has a life period and then you throw it. Similarly, the current modern science has a cell life and it has already passed through. Unless we rejuvenate the science, it will be dead very soon. It is not going to the next slide. Okay. So what is consciousness again, right? In many spiritual traditions, they study this consciousness, and there are two approaches. One is bottom up, the other is top down. So what is bottom up? Bottom up means, according to Vedanta, according to Bhagavad Sankhya philosophy, every object within this world is associated with a consciousness. So when I associate with those objects, those consciousness flow within me. But then I am originally a conscious being. But if I don't act on my own platform, that means if I'm foundationally weak, then what happens? This consciousness that enters within me, they overwhelm me. And I lose my original consciousness. So that is why Bhagavad Gita says in 2.70, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So how consciousness or we say perverted consciousness, not pure consciousness. They enter within us by our association with the different conscious objects. Every object has certain conscious attribute. Okay, because every object is some conscious manifestation. So, and those objects create within me lust, greed, anger, pride, illusion, envy, and so forth. So if I'm affected by that, then I lose track of my own pure individuality. So a man of wisdom doesn't fall victim to such external desires. And so this is the consciousness associated with the living matter. But then I am a conscious being. And that is again talked about. So this is bottom up. That means I see a gold mine and greed develops, right? So that's my artificial identification. So this is called bottom up. Something external is pushing me to associate with that which I am not. Whereas a top-down approach, I remain what I am always. And that is, in Bhagavad Gita 2.17, Krishna says that which pervades the entire body is known to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So try to understand, this is very, very important. It says, Krishna is saying here, that when I naturally stay within myself, then automatically I will experience myself. So that consciousness is imperishable. That means in one case, I have mundane experience. The other case, I have divine experience. In one case, everything is temporary. The other case, this divine experience is eternal. It is indestructible. So this is a very, very profound concept. Now, let's go to a little science here. You see, this picture that you are seeing, you started with a single cell. When your father and mother united and conceived you, you are conceived as a single cell, and that cell grew and grew and grew. And approximately after 9 months, you come out of the mother's womb helplessly crying with your umbilical cord connected to your mother. And how is that happening? One cell becoming so many variegated cells. Have you ever contemplated? You have these nails, your hairs, these are all dead cells. Then you have bone, another cell, skin, another kind of cell, your teeth, another kind of cell. You have your nervous system, a different kind of cell. We say nerve cell, kidney, heart, everything. They're all different cells. Your blood is different cell. So it's mind-boggling. One cell has become so many cells. How is it happening? So in 7th October 2002, Nobel Committee awarded 3 people Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. And they are Sidney Brenner, Robert Orvis, and John Sulston. So you will see that this is very interesting here, because the Sidney Brenner realized that we cannot study a human growth, because human body has many trillion cells, around 120 trillion cells or something, that human body has. And that's mind-boggling. Some trillion cells, hundreds, more than 100 trillion cells. It's mind-boggling. Even total GDP of the entire world is less than 100 trillion. So you can imagine, what a number it is. How one can possibly study this? So he thought, instead of studying the human, let's study a worm. A worm that had 261 cells. He took that, started with the egg, and it is fertilized, and then a single cell. It started with single cell of new worm, and that cell started growing under the microscope. And that person studied that and gave certain idea or principle by which cells they grow, cells divide, and then there are certain cells they also die. So this, and they got Nobel Prize for it. But my dear friend, do you know that even a cell is not properly understood, because you understand a cell by putting it under a microscope, and there is no limit to magnifying power of a microscope. Every time your technology advances, you have another high power microscope and high power image of the cell, and based on the high power image, you get another idea of your cell. That means a cell is still not understood, will not be understood the way empirical studies have been. It will not be understood completely. That's what I'm saying. The complete understanding of the cell is not possible using the modern method. You might have been knowing, I don't know, do you know this Schrodinger wave equation, for which Schrodinger got the Nobel Prize? He has written a book in 20s, What is Life? Basically, this is all about chemical origin of life. So let me tell you, this book, although written in 1920, and after 100 years, still chemical origin of life, still an unsolved problem. Even a blade of grass has not been replicated. Nobody can synthesize a grass in the lab. Okay, forget about making a grass, which is a living organism. Let us pose another question. You build a machine, people are talking AI machine. Can there be an AI machine? And you feed grass, and the machine will give you milk. I don't know how many of you know, currently in this world, in India, every day 65 lakhs of liters of milk are being sold in the market. But the total amount of milk that is being produced in India is around 13 lakh liters. That means we have adulteration of 500 times. 5 times adulteration means 500% adulteration. So if we have a machine that can produce pure milk that is full of vitamins like A and D and so forth, then that should be a very wonderful achievement. But we have not even done that. You see, a cow is a machine according to science, but I see this is not a machine. Cow eats grass and gives you milk. So nature has already created biological machine, and they provide us everything, right? So is it not important for us to understand how is biological machines different from the synthetic or chemical machine? One philosopher once said, we describe the world because world is indescribable. It's a fact. It's something you can describe, then you will never describe it, right? Something you understand. Okay, I understood it. So many people, they don't describe anything because they don't understand anything anyway. Okay. And that which can be describable is not interesting to a scientist or a poet or a philosopher. So they start describing the world. In the process, we have seen over 300 years of modern science history. A cell is not completely understood, an atom is not completely understood, the cosmos, its origin, its basic building blocks are still mystery. So also the consciousness. But one thing that current AI revolution has done, people are now talking about what is consciousness. Even in West, people are saying, please tell us what is consciousness. If somebody knows Bhagavad Gita, they would ask such a person, please narrate what is consciousness. So this is very wonderful opportunity for us to take help of Bhagavad Gita and understand what is consciousness. Okay. So approximately 5,200 years ago, Krishna spoke to Arjuna Bhagavad Gita. Why Arjuna was confused? He wanted to flee from the battle. He was confused because he saw in front of him his very respectable and loving grandson Bhishma, his most respected teacher Dronacharya, and everywhere he saw his near and dear ones, and he thought this is not a good place to fight, and he was confused. And similarly, we also get confused in our life. As a student, you have your own battlefield. As a professional, you have your own battlefield. As a doctor, you have another battlefield. As a soldier, you have another battlefield. You know, all of us, we are in different kind of battlefield, and we normally get confused. So what is the solution? Please read Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the science of consciousness. It is the science of life. And it would help you to know yourself better. In fact, you can understand yourself completely. So then Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and what Krishna spoke to Arjuna became the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Right? For example, you organized a physics lecture and you invited Einstein-like person. So obviously those scientists who are present in your locality, they will show 10 out of 10 enthusiasm. Whereas businessmen may be 5 out of 10 because they would be looking at whether this person is going to speak something that has certain business value, entrepreneur value. But ordinary people and Indian politicians probably would not show any enthusiasm. But then, suppose you invited Krishna to speak, what will happen? Every people from every walk of life, their enthusiasm must be at the highest level, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, doesn't matter. And that is Bhagavad Gita. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you are not simply reading. You are hearing what Krishna has to speak. And you must hear the way Krishna wants you to understand. So it's a live relay. Bhagavad Gita is a live relay. And it is not that I have started reading Bhagavad Gita seriously since 1988, but and it is almost like 32 years, right? But then let us see some of the great people, what do they say about Bhagavad Gita? Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, he says, when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare at me, and the face and I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita, find the words to comfort me, and I immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. Those who meditate on Gita will derive fresh joy and new meaning from it every day. Hermann Hesse, a German novelist who got Nobel Prize, he actually came to India, lived here, understood its culture, and wrote the book Siddhartha. I think I read it around 1990 or so. And he writes, the marvel of the Bhagavad Gita is a truly beautiful revelation of life's wisdom, which enables philosophy to blossom into religion. And religion means way of life. Aldous Huxley, a great philosopher, one of my favorite when I was studying in my BTech, he spoke about Gita. Gita is the most systematic statement of spiritual evolution of endowing value to mankind. It is one of the most clear and comprehensive summaries of perennial philosophy ever revealed. And its enduring value is subject not only to India, but to all of humanity. And Albert Einstein also talks about Bhagavad Gita. When I read Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous. So if all these people, they can talk about Bhagavad Gita, why not we? So, as you know, other day I was telling, 3-4 days back, I went to rooftop. We have a small kitchen garden from where I plucked some bitter gourd, Kerala. So as I was plucking and I was chanting Krishna's name, I realized that these trees are able to share their body. When I was cutting the bitter gourd, I felt as if I'm cutting this tree. They are actually sharing their body with us. Every tree shares their body. Can you share your body? If you are not able to share your body and tree is able to do that, that means tree is much superior than to you. But as a human being, we are supposed to be superior to a tree. So we cannot say I'm superior in terms of how I eat, how I mate, how I defend, and how I sleep. No. As a human being, I would be different from a tree, or I will be superior to a tree if I start asking pertinent questions. Like, what is matter? What is Brahman? What is absolute truth? Does God exist? Who am I? These kind of questions, if they don't prick me, then I'm not a human being. I'm less than a tree. Okay. So there are 8.4 million species, from plants to aquatics to insects, reptiles, birds, animals, and human being. In Padma Purana, it is said there are 9 lakh aquatics, 20 lakh plants, and then you have 10 lakh birds, 30 lakh animals, 4 lakh human beings, and rest are insects and reptiles. So 8.4 million species. And human birth is very rare. Is very rare. Why? Because you see, I'm sitting here in my house. This is the temple room, and there are 3 people here sitting with me. Okay. But if you look at this house, if we really count the living entities that are here, probably they will go to millions. Like the Kanpur city has a population of around 40 to 50 lakh probably. But if you really find out the total number of living entities, they will be infinite. That means the human population of the world, which is 7 billion, that is a very fraction. The level measure would be 0 approximately. And that is how it is the world that we talk about, the different living species. So human birth is very rare, my dear friend. So we must know the goal of human life. I must know what is truth. Okay. So you can see there are ecology, villages and varieties of species. And then people get aware that no, we are transmigrating, we are born again and again. So when people realize that, some become ascetic. But then you can see there are many there, they are preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita. fact, that is the highest welfare activity for the world. Best welfare activity is to distribute the Bhagavad Gita and its knowledge to others. And there is no better than this. Okay? So, to end this class, I would talk about, everybody, there are many people that read Bhagavad Gita, but they don't know how to read Bhagavad Gita. We must read Bhagavad Gita with the perspective that I want to hear Krishna. I don't want to hear some bogus person who is giving some interpretation on Bhagavad Gita. No, I want to hear what Krishna speaks. In every page of Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva introduces Krishna as Sri Bhagavana Vacha. It doesn't say Sri Krishna Vacha. It says Sri Bhagavana Vacha. So that is why the first spirit of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna is the absolute truth. Second is that I must attain the platform of neutrality. That means I'm freed from the notion of nationality. I'm neither American, Indian, or this or that. I must be free from the notion of gender. I'm male, female, and so forth. I must be free from race, black and white, and so forth. That is called neutral position. That means I want to realize myself as a pure conscious entity. That is beyond any of our material designations. And third, I must accept Krishna as my master, my trusted friend, and my very dear well-wisher. So when these three things are there, then you can really appreciate Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to appreciate what is Bhagavad Gita. So this is the conclusion. Conclusion is, truth must be dearer in every walk of life. Complete science of life is necessary to lead a meaningful life, right? So in everybody says, my father is dear to me, my mother is dear to me, my son is dear to me, my husband is dear to me, my wife is dear to me, my car is dear to me, my bank balance is dear to me. My dear friend, ultimately, truth must be dearer. And as I told you, complete science is necessary to face the reverses of life. And we must know the goal of human life. And in Bhagavad Gita, there are only 700 verses. And so many topics are covered. God, Jiva, Kala, Prakriti. It's such a wholesome literature. And just 700 verses. So you can easily understand that how valuable this literature is. Short, concise, and wholesome. We must read Bhagavad Gita to embrace divinity, stay away from sinful association. And Bhagavad Gita enables me to lead a balanced life, balanced growth in science of both matter and spirit. Okay, so this is the overall conclusion. I hope this lecture was beneficial to you. I don't know all of your background, from where, what is your individual background, but I spoke based on certain assumption that you are newcomer, and hence I spoke on accordingly. So now I can take some question.
Yes, sir. Participants are requested to please post your questions in the chat box so that I can read it out to sir. Yeah, sir is here with us. It's a very rare opportunity for all of us. So we have got a very wonderful opportunity. So please try to make use of this opportunity and please ask your questions. Okay, sir, we have some questions. So Amit Mukherjee has asked that is consciousness different from soul?
Consciousness, what you are talking about? If you are talking about divine consciousness, then it is not different from the soul. But if you are talking about your own consciousness in terms of your own greed, lust, anger, envy, then suddenly that is not so. That is this living body. So, as I told you, to be able to understand the pure consciousness, you have to understand the inert objects having conscious in view, and then the living entity that is the living body that is consciously aware of itself, and then beyond this, the soul, the divinity. So where you experience, and that is the beauty, because only the seers of India, they can talk about something that is so hidden. It is hidden within you, it is hidden within me, but it is sleeping. You have to awake it. So the soul is almost sleeping. You have to awaken it. And that is why Bhagavad Gita says, we are constantly lost in body consciousness. Yes, consciousness, there is body consciousness, and then there is pure consciousness. So body consciousness is not soul, pure consciousness is soul.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. The next question is there any relationship between consciousness and matter? And if consciousness can be realized, who is the one realizing it other than consciousness?
Okay, that's a good question. As I told you, matter is ignorance. Matter covers consciousness. Consciousness, when I say consciousness, I'm talking pure consciousness or divine consciousness. So that which is divine cannot experience ignorance. That means wherever there is sun, there cannot be darkness. So obviously, consciousness and matter, two mutually exclusive aspects of the reality. One is darkness, that is matter. The other is light, that is consciousness. So there is no even overlapping, they're completely different. And you said that the first part of the question, and second part of the question is that how do I realize consciousness? Yes, who is experiencing? Yes, consciousness is self-aware. Even matter is self-aware. Matter at the level of mind, level of intelligence, and the level of false consciousness, it's aware of itself. If matter can be aware of itself, why not conscious? So as a conscious being, I'm aware of it myself. But then there are two levels of consciousness at the purity, at the divinity. One is supreme consciousness, that is God. He is all pervading, he is there. He is conscious of every point and every space. Every point in the space, in all space and all time. Whereas I, a unity of consciousness, when I am self-realized, I can only be conscious of myself. I cannot be conscious of others. I cannot pervade everything. No, it's not possible. I'm very tiny. So there are two aspects of consciousness. One is the supreme conscious being, the other is tiny individual conscious being. One is called God, the other is called Jiva. One is the infinite, inconceivable supreme being, the other is infinitesimal soul.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And next question we have from Vipin Gupta. According to me, sir, God is nature. What is your opinion about this?
Your opinion, my opinion has nothing to do, has no value. You are as fallible as I am. Your senses are limited, so also mine. You are subjected to illusion, so also I. You make mistakes, so also I. You have the propensity to cheat, so also I. So how does that matter? Your opinion is nature is God, or my opinion is Krishna is God. They are not important. We have to see what is God's opinion. So God personally comes, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavu mataha sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanita mataha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. So Krishna says, declares, he is the absolute truth. And many seers of truth, including Vasudeva, Narada, Bhishma, Bhishma, Prahlada, Kapila, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everybody has declared Krishna is God. So nature is simply energy. And nature is acting under the direction of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya dhikshena prakriti swete sacharacharam. Maya dhikshena prakriti swete sacharacharam. So, under his superintendence, Prakriti, nature is acting. So, if you say nature is God, that is your opinion. That is not absolute thing. Okay? So, we have to accept an authority to understand. Just like power, electric power. Electric power is very powerful. But that power is controlled by some few engineers in Panki power plant here. So this electric power, if you think this is God, that is stupidity. Yes, it is very powerful. Electric power is very powerful. It can, it can be in the amplitude, its power can be some megawatt, some gigawatt. That's all right. But then it is some people who had the brain, and they, uncovered from nature that here is electricity, and we can bring it, we can tame it, we can control it, we can transmit it from one place to another place. So who is powerful? Electric power, or those engineers, or those who actually invented electric power? So we should not be so myopic based on our own speculation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. The next question is from Ayush. He's asking why we are facing such kind of pandemic right now. Is this also a decision of God?
Why we are facing pandemic? But this is the nature of this material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are three vidha klesas. This material world is asasattam dukhalayam. Have you ever seen that any time this world is not freed from any klesa, any misery? Adhyatmika klesa. Adhyatmika klesa means you suffer from your mind, you suffer from your body. And adibhautika klesa. This is what is pandemic. A malaria gives you, makes your life miserable by giving you dengue, or a virus like corona gives you fever and respiratory problem. These are adibhautika klesa. And adidaivika klesa. There are mass scale flood, earthquake, and so forth. So these clashes are natural, and they happen according to the sum total of karma that we are engaged. So what we do in this world, we get accordingly some result. The most important thing you have to realize in this current world, we are sending so many animals into slaughterhouses. We are indulging in many sinful activities, so nature would react anyway. Okay, so classes, the miseries are permanent in this world. Will you find anyone in this world will not die? Have you found someone who has never gone through disease? Have you found someone who has never, suffered from old age? No. These are truth of life. So only those who associate with Bhagavad Gita, they realize divinity is beyond all these things. And hence they work very hard to work on divinity and to conquer. See, Indian tradition teaches us to conquer death, to conquer all this, to get rid of all these miseries. Yeah, next question.
Yes, sir. So next question is from Aditya. He's asking, how is this different from Jainism?
How is it different from Jainism? There are many isms in this world. Everyone has some aspect of truth they represent. But Bhagavad Gita is the complete aspect of the truth. So Bible speaks some truth, Quran speaks some truth, Jains, they speak some truth, but Bhagavad Gita speaks the complete truth. That is the distinction.
Yes, sir. And Sudeep is asking, Sudeep Chauhan, how can I work hard thinking that death is not the end? Because if person think that it has only one life, she can give her best.
No. You should not live a life based on your own assumption. You must be educated what is life. And what is the value of your work? Your work is not helping you to overcome your old age, your disease, your death. So you must engage as a human being. You must be trained to engage in those actions that would liberate you from this ephemeral and temporary world. So that is not a good idea. We must know Bhagavad Gita, the science, complete science of life. You have already taken trillions of births. It is not that you have not enjoyed in this world. You have all kind of enjoyment. As an insect, you have enjoyed this world. As a bird, you have enjoyed this world. As an animal, you have enjoyed this world. As a different human being, you have also enjoyed this world, and still want to enjoy the same thing. What is there in this world? There is nothing actually. Okay? So please understand this point.
Yes, sir. And Shivam is asking, why is it Krishna talks about 5 tattva? That body is made of 5 tattva. Why Krishna does not tell Arjuna about the atomic or molecular composition of body to Arjuna?
These 5 tattvas are better tattva than so-called atom or so-called cell. These 5 tattvas, even nobody has understood. Anybody can crack these 5 tattvas, and they will be liberated. And Krishna is not talking only 5 tattvas. He is talking about 8 material tattva and 2 divine tattvas. 7.4, he talks about in Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter 4th verse, he talks about 8 material tattvas. 7.5, he talks about you and me, Jiva Tattva. And 7.7, he talks about he himself as the absolute Tattva. And each of these Tattvas are more fundamental than so-called atom and cell. I think we should stop here. I know that you have many questions.
Yes, sir.
So I thank all of you for hearing and hope this session helped some of you. Thank you very much. And thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, just one last request, sir. We have an upcoming course on the Bhagavad Gita called as PCast. So it's a similar course on Bhagavad Gita. So if you can tell something about, encourage them, the participants, to join in that course.
I have already given so much of encouragement.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
I've already told why one should read Bhagavad Gita.
Yes,
I've done your job very easy, right?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And we lastly thank all of the participants for joining us. And it was a very learning experience, learning curve for all of us. And I hope all of you have enjoyed, like how perfectly sir told all the points from the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll meet you for our next session, that is on next Sunday. And I strongly encourage all of you again to visit our website, that is www.indiayouthcare.com. And you can register there for the PCast course. That is, as sir already mentioned, the importance of reading Bhagavad Gita. You can go there and visit that one. Yeah. So just one. Yeah. So I will just like to show you the trailer for that course. It's a 2-minute video. All of you can join. See that one. Just 1 second. I will just share my screen.
Are you confused about life's goals? Do you want to declutter the mental distractions? Do you want to become a leader? Then this course is for you. Hello friends, this is Indranil on behalf of the team of India Youth Care. We Indians are the most charismatic, talented and resourceful brains celebrated throughout the entire world. Top tech companies such as Google and Microsoft are boastful to keep Indian talents as their top personal men. But what is the situation with most of us? Most of us, we suffer from cutthroat competition and rising social, mental and peer pressure. 9.8 million youths suffer from depression. It's a very high number. Also, this depression results in low confidence, low self-esteem, and finally, opportunity blindness. We at India Youth Care are here to provide you with a power booster course based on the most authentic science of the Bhagavad Gita. As Mahatma Gandhi has said, when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, and I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita and find the words to comfort me. And I immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. This 4-session course called as PCast, that is the primary course on applied spiritual technology, will help you to resolve mental complications, give you one-pointed focus in your life's goals. It will give you spiritual empowerment, which will open up new dimensions of opportunities in your life. And finally, it will make you a refined man, a pioneer in society, ready to inspire millions. So hurry up, join us on this sublime journey to replenish your life with joy and clarity. Please visit our website www.indiayouthcare.com for registration and further details. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was all. So once again, you can visit our website for the further details. So thank you. We'll meet all of you again on next Sunday. Thank you.